All right, the White House is letting China eat our lunch as business titans are now taking the lead. And this just in, one legendary investor is sounding off on the race for the White House. Bill Ackman just tweeting that he thinks Jamie Dimon should run for president as a Democrat, believing that JP Morgan CEO can beat Biden in the primary and Donald Trump in the general, saying, quote, Jamie Dimon is one of the world's most respected business leaders. Politically, he is a centrist. He's pro-business, he's pro-free enterprise, but also supportive of well-designed social programs and rational policies that can help the less fortunate. There's only one better job for Jamie than CEO of JPM, and that's POTUS. Jamie just needs a push from people he respects and from the broader electorate. Well, look who's here. Kudlow host Larry Kudlow joins us. I think that you might be in the camp of people that Jamie Dimon respects. I don't know if he listens to you on this kind of stuff, but what do you think about what Bill Ackman's saying? Is it completely out of the realm of possibility that Democrats could see in Jamie Dimon an alternative to what they got right now?
Yes.
Okay. Completely out of the realm of possibility.
Completely out of the realm.
Why?
Now, having said that, I want to add, I happen to think the world of Jamie Dimon. I'm a great admirer of his, and we've been friends for a long time. And when I was in government, he was extremely helpful. And we used to always eat at the same Italian joint in Carnegie Hill in New York,
okay,
et cetera, et cetera. And he's a great banker. He's a builder. He's built JP Morgan up. He's really a good, solid banker, almost a visionary. Maybe he is a visionary, okay. Banking is a difficult business these days. He did not want the aid. Remember, he didn't want any bailout money back in 2008, to his great credit. And I think JP Morgan is the gold standard or the gold star or whatever, the North Star of banking. But politically, no, it's a non-starter.
Sounds like what you're saying.
By the way, I don't
nice
think,
if he was a candidate, but there's no way in the world he would be.
I doubt very much whether he has any interest in it. Yeah, it's a non-starter.
Okay.
Can we talk about China for a second? Because that's how we opened our show. And that's a huge story today, the China threat. Speaking of Jamie Dimon, you got him over there having these conversations with the Chinese, wanting to do business in China. Elon Musk is the same situation. Your view on how President Biden has basically, undone everything that President Trump did to try to work on starting to slowly decouple us, and how bad the situation now has gotten. Because it feels like, to me, China's in a vulnerable position, sort of in a house of cards situation, and they're coming after us to try to bolster up and shore up their own weakness.
Well, Jackie, I think we are in a vulnerable position, and this goes back to the untimely bungled withdrawal from Afghanistan. That was a killer. Yeah. And the whole world watched that in amazement. And we learned later the Joint Chiefs were against it, the Secretary of Defense was against it, leaving the Bagram Air Force Base with a lot of equipment just made us look terrible, okay? That's point number one. That was a sign of weakness. Regarding China, it is interesting to me, a couple points real quick. I was on the China trade team, so I know a little bit about the subject. The trade deal is up for review. It's a 301 deal. 4 years have passed. It's up for review. And I strongly, strongly suggest and recommend that they leave the tariffs in place. Why do I say that? Because if you start lifting these tariffs, what will you get in return? You have to have reciprocity. What we're getting from China is insults, threats, and condescension. Biden talked about a thaw in China, said it, I don't know, last week or something, maybe at the G7 meeting. Yeah. And the Chinese just said they came back. I have the clips. No, there is no thaw. Secretary of Defense Austin made a bid to meet with China's top defense person, and they said no. Nope. Okay. Anthony Blinken, who, in my opinion, should not be in his position because of his dirty tricks in 2000, but whatever. He's not going there. They don't want to talk to him either. They are getting ready to invade Taiwan. Everything they're doing points to invading Taiwan. The question is, what are we going to do about it? We don't have a plan. In that sense, Biden has been very weak. I think it's a very timely topic. I might add, we're going to take it up on our show somewhat tonight. Tomorrow night we have Bob Lighthizer, who was our trade negotiator, who was really, truly an expert. But we got a problem with China.
Yeah. I want to talk about another deal that's up for review, up for debate. We're talking about the House vote on the debt ceiling tonight. And Larry, it was interesting. I sit next to your team and they talked to me, give me a sneak preview of maybe the riff or a little bit of the message that you're going to talk about. And you talk about sort of the holdouts right now. Is it more harmful if you have these holdouts and people say no than it would be to just rally and pass the bill and get behind Speaker McCarthy?
Well, I think that's what's going to happen. Kevin McCarthy is leading a Republican revolution right now. Okay. He is completely changing the political center of gravity in Washington. He outfoxed, he outflanked, and he beat Biden in the negotiations. Biden completely changed. Now I want a clean debt ceiling. I will not talk about the budget. This thing is loaded with budget cuts, budget reforms, and other policy reforms. I'd say McCarthy got about 70% of what he wanted, which is pretty darn good, and showed the strength of the House Republicans. I think I understand some of my conservative friends or good friends of mine wanted more. I understand that. I respect their point of view. But I think basically the GOP conference is completely behind McCarthy. They have tremendous confidence in his leadership ability, and I think the vote will pass easily tonight.
So I'm looking at how this vote might shake out, and maybe things have changed in the last hour or two, but as I looked at it, it looked to me like more Democrats were getting excited about this bill than the Republicans were getting. And a guy like Byron Donalds, I think he made a really interesting speech about this, but he essentially said, this doesn't change any of the trajectory that all of us hate in Washington. You know, it makes a little bit of a cut, Larry, but the 40% growth in federal government is still there. So looking at that, and I think to myself, well, did Democrats really get that bad of a deal? Or are they looking at this and saying, you know what, we make a little cut, but we get most of what we like?
He's pulling up charts for you, which is bad.
This is what I love. That's why I extended the question a little bit.
I do my homework. I try to do my homework. Look at, over the weekend, in between playing tennis and going to 12-step meetings, I was kind of watching the computer to see how this deal was going. And so then the deal was announced for Saturday night. So I don't watch the Sunday talk shows. It's way too hard. But I was, looking at the computer to see on certain things. And sure enough, the left wing of the Democratic Party started screaming, squealing, yelping. I could hear them all the way up in the countryside in Connecticut. And that told me that this was a good deal.
Right.
That told me, once they started, Jaya Powell, whatever her name is, AOC, that whole crowd.
But they're the only two. I don't think they're yelping so much anymore.
The quartet, the quintet.
I don't know, Larry. I think they've kind of like made peace with this.
Well, I'll send you out there as an emissary. You can check it out for yourself. Touchy-feely. Republicans like this a lot. They're going to get the majority of the Republican conference will vote for this. They will lose 35, 40 votes, no question. Incidentally, one hero in this, as you can tell, I'm strongly in favor of the deal, is Thomas Massey from Kentucky, whose sequestration penalty amendment to the budget and the appropriations is very, very important. The pay-go resolution on regulations is very, very important. The workfare stuff, I wish it were a little tougher in some spots, but it puts you on the right track for the first time in many years. And the numbers here, look, against the CBO baseline, you're going to cut probably $110, $111 billion. This will come in below 23 on domestic discretionary. And if you exclude veterans, which no one ever thought was going to be cut, it actually is lower than 22. McCarthy got what he wanted, and the baseline will bend down a bit. So here's my Rome wasn't built in a day.
I agree.
Brick by brick.
Well said.
Brick by brick. This is an important first step.
Well said.
All right. You
Larry.
can call me Thucydides. He was the Greek historian.
I thought you said he was a classmate. I don't know. Taylor, that's the strongest case you're going to get for this bill from Larry Kudlow.
We're trying to turn your opinion around, Brian. Larry Kudlow, thank you so much. And
I hear the left screaming.
Don't forget to watch Kudlow. It happens weekdays at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on Fox Business.